Let's see if it starts. I am back in the shop today. We are doing a little bit of upgrades to the GSR Sport. I was digging through my archives, just like all my old Goped stuff, but the GSR Sport finally got a kill switch. So that's a huge bonus of that. I put that in. I did not record that though. However, what we're going to do with the green machine here is, I was digging in my archives and I actually managed to find, I don't know where I put it, right here, a big old spindle. I think this looks like a 750, but it could be an 800. I got to measure it to be sure, but it's got a knurl on it. It's already machined for the 88 third bearing kit. So I'm going to replace that spindle, the junk one, with this good one. And then I'm going to get rid of this junk tire. I'm actually going to take the street front tire that's on the black Bigfoot and put it on that one. And then I'm going to take this off-road tire here. I'm going to put this off-road tire on the front of the black one. And I'm just going to make the black one mainly just strictly for off-road. I'm going to get a stalker exhaust for it to help get it a little more torque, but still keep it quiet. I might put an HB carb and stuff on that one too, but that's all future stuff. But I'm going to get this set up so we can watch me work on some scooters. All right, we got the tires switched around. This has got it's a used tire. It's not nothing brand new. It's just something I had laying around, but it's the valve cable's rubbing that. It won't, when it's not folded up, it won't rub. But it's just a little knobby, you know. So this is actually what comes factory on the Bigfoots when they left the factory. The first generation of them were these knobby tires. This one's got a street tire on it now. It's dry rotted. It's got some cracks in there. So I'm not going to put 55 PSI like I have been inside these. I'm only going to do about 30 to 35, which is about what they call for. What we're going to do now is we are going to change a spindle. And the best way to change a spindle is, well, you loosen this nut here and you flip the gas tank up. And then I normally take the pull start off and I put a wrench where the pull start, or where the starter mechanism is on the flywheel to hold it, so I can loosen the nut or the bolt for the spindle. So to pull this, I'm probably going to have to pull the pipe and then pull the cover and then pull the spindle off of it. All right, get some of this junk out of the way. We'll start. Oh no! Loosening up this fuel tank. Oh man, she's tight. She's tight. This has been apart before because the axle bolt's supposed to go in this way and then the nut's supposed to be on this end to make it easy to service this thing. But it is clearly backwards right now. It's got the washer, that's good. And this should be able to lift up. Look at that. Tire smoked. It's all right. We gotta make it work. You know, you can see it, but she's severely cupped. There we go. We get her out of the way. Move this stuff out of the way. Ah, my little stand isn't big enough. Ah, I bumped into you guys. Now this whole fuel tank, you'll be able to slide off of here gently. And we should be able to set this down out of the way. Ah. Work some fuel line back through here a little bit. Push all the little spiders out. Hope my fuel tank cap doesn't leak. The way this Bigfoot type scooter works, I hope you guys can see this. When the tire is in place, this engine pivots up and down like this. And there used to be a cable. This cap's leaking. There used to be a cable. It's attached to right here where it is broken off. It's right here. Actually looks like somebody cut it. And there's another spot for the other end of the cable here. And when you come to an idle, you lift the motor up and you give it a push. You let the motor sit back down. You ride away and have a good time. But this is severely worn, as you can see. There's a little bit of actual spindle material left here and then nothing here. Let's measure this and compare it to how much bigger this one is. So the larger diameter spindle, the more top end speed you have, versus the smaller diameter spindle, the more low end torque you have. But isn't it kind of towering over top of that? I'm going to grab a pair of mics and we can measure this real quick. I really meant to say calipers. I'm sorry. So what we got, what was the machine diameter? 800. 880? Jesus. I would say this is a 900 after it's knurled. Grab where it's knurled. 888. So I'd say it's every little bit of a 900. So we'll say a spindle's a 900. Yeah, you measure this end of it, it comes out. Actually, no. We're in the 8s. So that'd be a 900. So this is every little bit of an 800. So it's actually 778 or whatever I said. Yeah, it's just smaller than 800. So yeah, this is 800. Spindle size is 800. Mouse ain't even gonna be calibrated in 13. So this, we'll measure the thickness of the spindle material is 615.615 of an inch. Get off of there, you. All right, all right, all right. Well, that's actually pretty clean in there. I don't know if you can see in there at all, but it's all metal. There's not full of carbon. All right, that. Sure how well we can see this in here. You look inside the cylinder, it is no scoring. The cylinder wall in there is still dull, which is good. That means that the Nickel plating still exists. The exhaust port is a minor little bit of carbon in there, but I'm not going to worry about that. Porting is stock, which is expected. It seems to be completely stock. It's covered in goo, but that's mainly just from that exhaust gasket leaking. But this is a pretty good engine. I wonder what the compression in this thing is actually. But good news is we can port it. Oh, the flywheel's broken. Whoa. And yet, what the fuck? Pardon my language. That is not how you lighten a flywheel. Wow. I'm surprised this thing hasn't overheated yet. Sneaky, sneaky. I need to look at this stuff better when I take these things apart. That is... Oh my God. See, when I first got into Gopeds, I used to actually cut the flywheel like here, like around the magnet and around the counterweight, and leave just that as a flywheel to lighten it per se. But that's unacceptable. That's a no-no. I do have some lightened flywheels, and I will actually do a video on how to lighten a flywheel separate to this. All right, so flywheel's going to get changed to one of my lightened flywheels. I'll do a flywheel lightening video next because I got plenty that I need to lighten. And then, yeah, but let's get back to that spindle. All right. The number 5. What I like to do is, where I was rotating the flywheel over here, is I like to put a crescent wrench on that. That's the strongest part of the flywheel. It's literally designed to turn the engine. So, and stick a 5 in here, all the way in. Make sure it's fully seated. Oh, and then try to break it loose. Some days it's harder than others. There she goes. So when your screw's out, make sure it's the right length. Drop it in. It's supposed to be flush with the end there. Luckily I got spindle bolts, so that's going to render itself useless. But to get these off is kind of tricky because it's held on there with a taper. One tactic you can do, which works pretty good, you put a screwdriver in here and you wiggle the Jesus out of it, and it'll eventually pop off of there. What I like to do is find an area, like there's a seam here, so I'm going to take my crescent hammer, I'm going to tap it on that seam and kind of go quarter turn, tap, quarter turn, tap, quarter turn, tap, quarter turn, tap. Keep doing that. You don't want to hit it hard, you'll break your crankshaft. And eventually it should come loose. Ba-ding! Just gotta be patient with it. Alright, let me find a spindle bolt. I'll be right back. So the spindle bolt for an aftermarket spindle is significantly shorter than what we can see here on the stock spindle. The stock spindle requires the whole length of the bolt to go all the way through and to the very end. To make sure your spindle bolt is the right size, when it's all the way in there, it's pretty much flush to the end of the spindle. Aftermarket spindle, aftermarket bolt. It's hard to flip it upside down, but it's pretty much flush to the end of the spindle. So we'll go ahead and stick this on. Goes on dry. Some people like to red Loctite their bolts. I like to take my stuff apart. Go ahead and put that in there. I don't like to tighten these with a ball end of an Allen wrench, because you'll either strip the Allen wrench or you'll strip out your Allen socket. So I'm going to need different means here. T-handle. Then I put my wrench back on the flywheel. So this one doesn't really matter because it's dead anyway. Crank it in there good and tight. That's how you install a spindle. All right, now add a bonus portion to this. We gotta get this flywheel off of here. I spun the workbench around. Give you a little better view. These aren't normally super tight. Just kind of buzz this off. You should be able to hold this by hand with an impact, but if you don't feel comfortable with it, don't hurt yourself. And I leave the nut just barely to the end. And then if we're lucky, we can fit a pry bar in there. You can take a screwdriver and you stick it down between the flywheel and the engine cases. And you tap it in there with a hammer real lightly. Create a little bit of a wedge. And then if you normally, I grab it, screwdriver, and apply a little bit of a twist. And then if we hit the center of this where the nut still is, we should be in good shape. There she is. She popped off there. So now, go ahead and unscrew that. And look at that. Someone did that on purpose. Where's my flywheel key? I don't have a flywheel key. There's no key in here. And there's no key in there. Well, I gotta come up with a flywheel key somehow. I think I have a timing advance key I can put in this. Let me dig, and I'll come right back. So this is a Zenoah RC engine. When they went to the RC, which was a more in-depth version of this, basically, exact same crankcases, still 2-bolt setup in the early ones. They widened the ports here to accommodate the larger cylinders, and they doubled the fins on the flywheel. And they have an upgraded coil also. This is the engine that came off of my water-cooled Sport before I water-cooled it. It was worn out. I mean, the piston still has some machining marks in it. The ring's really polished. It's well broken in. It's lost all of its elasticity. I mean, it's not even that strong of a spring anymore. But I'm pretty sure I had a timing advance key in this, and we're going to see if I did or didn't. But this engine turned 18,000 RPMs. Oh, don't hold the piston when you do that. Hold the flywheel, silly. And it screamed at all high heavens when it was running. Get in there. And it was a great engine. It's just, it was like 10, 15 years old. And then it finally lost compression, and I wore the cylinder out. Oops. After so many years of abuse, I gotta get this flywheel off. I'll be right back. So I just popped this thing loose. I have not pulled it apart yet, but I didn't want to leave the camera running, sitting there beating the crap out of this thing, because it was really on there, and I'm not really sure why. I don't remember putting it on there too crazy. All right, here we go. Moment of truth. We have a timing advance key. Oh, why are you stuck? Why are you stuck? I think it's stuck on the key. That's exactly what it is. Oh boy. But I can see that it's offset a little bit. So I think we got a timing advance key. I really hope we do. Oh, that is beautiful. Get out of my hands. Sorry, old engine. She's in there good. So this is a timing advance key. What it does is, if you look at it, if I can hold this just right, is it magnetic? No. It's offset. So this is the half moon that sits in the crankshaft. And this is the part that holds on to the flywheel. So what it does is it sets the flywheel more advanced in timing and gives a bigger bang and gives you a bigger skadoosh, sooner skadoosh, more power. I don't know how this thing was running without a flywheel key in it. That's bizarre to me. All right, let me dig again through the archives. I need to find, this won't fit on there unless I change the flywheel cover. I will just use this. All right, let me find a stock LH flywheel and we'll lighten it and throw it on here. So this is a stock LH flywheel that has been lightened. I've actually machined it out So when I used to live at my parents' house, my brother Jason had bought himself a benchtop Bridgeport, and I actually tried to use, it looks like a 3/8 end mill, and I was trying to just chase the fins out. What we're going to do is we're going to fire up my porting tools over there, and we're going to smooth all these out and get this looking as pretty and as perfect as we possibly can. But that's pretty much how you lighten a flywheel. Normally I'll take a pair of side cutters and I'll clip the fin down and then take the rotary tool in there and smooth it all out and make it look really pretty. But essentially just every other fin, that's how you lighten a flywheel. If you really get really fancy, you can cut the back of this thing off if you don't want to use your pull start. This application, I kind of need it. I can't really push start this thing yet because I don't have a lockdown kit on it. So let's get over to the porting table and get this thing cleaned up. All right, so this is just Harbor Freight's cheap hanging corded rotary drill. This is I'm not sure what to call it, a collet holder, I guess. I got off of out of China, but this little rotary drill is not too bad. It's got a decent foot pedal to it, and she works pretty good. This is these carbide bits came off of Amazon, and they're really nice because they're really small and they fit in a lot of good places. So we are going to apply a little bit of foot pedal here and so we can smooth this thing out a little bit. Put these on, huh? That'd be smart. Oh my god, why are they full of like syrup and stuff? Maybe it's oil. I don't know. Safety squints engaged. Now the job with your carbide, whenever you're porting, no matter what you're doing, is to rough in your work. You come back and you finish things out with the sanding drum to clean the rest of it up. I also got this thing off Amazon. It's like a kit that's got like 600 of these things in there. It's got all your different sizes too. It's got your, what is that, 1/2 inch, and it's got 3/8, and it's got a little baby 1/4 inch one down here too, and they're phenomenal. They don't wear out as fast as you'd think they would, but I'm only using them on aluminum. So there's that. Now when you get through the sanding drum, I have these. They're like basically like a Scotch-Brite on a stick. Scotch-Brite on a stick. We call it Scotch-Brite on a stick. There we go. Buff it on down with this. That's how you lighten a flywheel. Can you even see that with that light? I'm going to give you a better view of this when we get back over to the scooter. I'm going to clean this in a parts washer, make it all nice and pretty, and then I'll show you what it looks like over there. So this is our finished product. I scrubbed it up. There's still some dirt on some of the fins. I wasn't too perfect. But basically the idea is to lighten it by taking out every other fin. You do lose a little bit of cooling, but if you run the right fuel and the right tune, you won't run too hot and it'll be just fine. Just stay moving. That's our lightened flywheel. So let's go ahead and stick this thing on the scooter. Tightening this, kind of same process as the spindle. You just stick a wrench right on here. This is for RC, LH, any flywheel that has this system sticking out of it. And snug her on up. You hitting? You're not. It's not. Crescent hammer, yank the plug. Somebody tighten that plug up. Well, that tune on there isn't too bad. Looks like a nice cocoa brown to me. A little bit of black on one side. I could probably lean this thing out up top. I really need an HP carb when I can fully tune. I found one. I was in the archives playing around and I found an actual, was 167. Walbro 167 right here. This is it. It's even got the goofy needle on it. So it needs a bladder and a bracket and a swivel. But I think I'm going to put this on here. If I can find a manifold. I got plenty of stuff to dig through in the archives. If I can find a manifold, and this video is going to become we're putting an HP carb on, and I didn't think I was going to go this direction, but hey, I got a spindle, HP carb, and a lighten flywheel and timing advance key. I'm going to give that Chinesium a run for his money. Let's see if we have spark. I'm sorry guys, I got ADD like a squirrel. It's not my fault. Can't see the sparking. Where's the socket at? We got fire. A nice low speed fire too, that's good. I don't know if I can put this where you guys can actually see that. I don't think that's worth the fight. Okay, so we have the flywheels on and fixed. Let's throw the top half of this cover on here. It doesn't really need to be off anymore. Well, it's finally back together. I even found, like, this is the first air filter I ordered for like my first Goped, and I still have it. So it's gonna go on Chinesium or the Bigfoot. The funny thing is, my first Goped, I believe it was green as well. I don't remember what color it was. I think it was like lime green or something. Just something my brother got crafty with and painted. But let's see what it sounds like. I'm rubbing the table, but I'm not rubbing the engine. So we're free from the engine. That's all that matters. Let's see if it starts. That is a night and day difference from the other flywheel and the other tiny kit. That is. This is a river. Detonation knock to it. I need race gas. Or I might just be lucky and be able to use like 93 or something. I guess tomorrow, when the sun's out, I'll take this thing down the street and use the app and see how fast it is. I really need to get a lockdown kit for this because, I mean, you guys can see this motor just moves as free as it wants to. So I'm still going to have to like physically stand on top of the engine to keep the spindle under the tire to actually get this thing to get on the road properly. I need to zip tie these fuel lines right now because I'm the kind of person that will forget. So yeah, tomorrow we'll see what we can do with this. Thank you guys for hanging out. All 6 of you that actually watch my videos. The rest of you that are clicking through looking for something, if you have a question Goped related, I might be able to help you. Drop a comment, maybe I can make a video on something that you need information on. And yeah, that is going to be tonight's episode. I have no idea what time it is. I'm sure my whole house is sleeping or awake at this point. But see you tomorrow.